And we are live.
Hey, I'm Laura Polko, and I am here with a courage. I'm going to show you two different braids. So one is more of your traditional boxer braid that pops out, and how to do that, because we all know how to do more of the traditional one. So we're going to change it up, do that. And then on the other side, I'm going to show you this crossover braid that is really fun to do, but it definitely requires a tutorial. So we're all guilty of it, and I needed it too. So then what we're going to do is I have Heather here. So Heather, for her, what we did is her hair is second day wash. So a little dirty for this kind of thing. I personally love, we prepped with soaking conditioner and strengthening shampoo. I like to mix that up just for the color purpose. And first step is to get that part straight. So to get a part straight, I kind of started it, but what I like to do is I line it up with the nose. Here, turn your head a little bit. And some people really need to do this when the hair's wet, depending on the hair. When it's second day hair, it is a little easier because you're working with a little bit of grit and oil, so that can be helpful. And cut yourself some slack when you're doing the middle part, especially all the way back. It can be tough. So lining it up, and then we're going to continue that all the way down the back.
Would you put any styling products into prep to tame any frizz, or if your client has a cowlick at the front?
Yeah, cowlicks. If I was going to use anything, I would use something that's not a gel. Wouldn't work for that because it's going to dry. A mousse wouldn't work for that unless you already had mousse in from like the first day and you're going in second day. Sometimes that can help, but I would use something like finishing, like a transforming paste. Transforming paste or detailing cream.
Great.
So both of those like have enough tact that will hold and they'll set without giving you, something that's going to get crunchy and you can't work through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. We got one side off, and now we're going to do just your pretty straightforward boxer braid. So what that means is these are the braids that pop out versus, kind of the ones that go in.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do for this one, because we need it a little tighter, I am going to use transforming paste. I like to work with it. This is a bit thicker, so you don't need a lot. So I'll mix some of that, and I really like to cocktail products. It makes my life easier. So then we're also going to use silkening oil treatment.
And what does that cocktail do for you?
I feel like the oil treatment, it makes it so you can actually move through the transforming paste. But then you get the hold of the transforming paste, and that way you can get like the best of both worlds. But having the transforming paste be more malleable and also give you that extra shine that you really want. So that's why I like to mix the two, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. And then, something like that. If you did have a cowlick that you were working with, start here, and then we can get it going. So I like to just start about an inch behind, maybe a little more, get those kind of cleaner sections. And from here, we're going to do under and under. So then you're going to pull it kind of tight. And then some people like to go back in and use the comb to get it really tight and really smooth. So that way you're not going to get all those like kinks and bubbles. And then you go back under. This side, I have nails, so it kind of works a bit similar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need to, you can always just brush up. And you definitely need a fine tooth comb to get this super smooth. You can do it with a wide tooth comb, but you're not going to get it really tight.
And how do you have like a tip or a trick if your client has thinner hair around the recession? Like, how do you not accentuate that space when braiding?
When you're doing that, honestly, for something like that, You do still want it tight, but you kind of have to, I like to fill it in with a little powder, even if you're using like an eyeshadow palette. So that's a really good way to cheat it in a way that you really, you mask it, you can't really tell. But something like that, it is inevitable. And it is a situation that just happens. You also can like lay down little baby hairs. You can clean it up in ways that can look really cute. And then obviously if you see any bubbles, you brush through them. And keep going.
Do you have a rule of thumb for how much hair to incorporate into each section of the braid?
What I like to do is whatever you're starting, not necessarily this, because, maybe you want it really like to start right here and then it gets bigger. But whatever this section is, you're going to work with this section and keep them the same. So if you want a tighter braid, and also, of course, it depends on how much hair the person has.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working with really fine hair, I like to use smaller sections, because then you can also loosen up the braid to make it look thicker,
Mm-hmm.
but you need more hair to loosen up for it to still look good. But some people, are just trying to get through it quick and really want it bigger sections.
And are you picking up on every braid, or are you kind of locking the braid in before you pick up more hair?
Oh my God, that's a good question. So I'm thinking through it while I'm doing it. Okay, what I like to do here, come over here. Okay, so I have my hand holding this section that I'm going to add to. So I like to pick up, and then this is obviously going to be sloppy because there's pressure now. But I like to kind of lock it in after picking up the section.
Gotcha.
So then I'm going to take this, now that I have it, and wrap it around like that. That's how I personally do it. But everybody, I think what works for you, if you've got your braiding down, you should stick with what works.
So I have a personal question.
Let's hear it.
Because I can braid with my braids sitting on top,
Mm-hmm.
but I cannot braid with my braids sitting underneath.
Oh, so you can do this one.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't do the other one. So what would be, like, if someone is struggling with the opposite, right? All of their braids sit underneath. What advice do you have for their technique to try for their braids, the Dutch braid, to sit on top?
I think the most important thing, or ignore that my comb is
You
in
want to
my
hold
mouth.
it?
No, it's kind of like my process that I do. And normally I would like have a little like set bag that I would, put my stuff in. But when you're in it, it's yours, like going for it.
Right.
I think the best thing to do, honestly, is you have to talk to yourself through it. You have to be like, I'm going under, I'm pulling the section under, because that's where you get messed up. Like for you, you're constantly putting it over because that's your habit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to do an under braid, you have to tell yourself, okay, go under, every section under. And then eventually your brain hopefully will kind of get in the groove and be able to do it. But the same way for this, you have to be like, you're trying to go over, but this one, you have to just tell yourself like under, under, under,
Mm-hmm.
And I found that helps, because in the beginning, I think is where it gets like discouraging and you're like, what's going on? One section that you go the wrong way gets really messy.
You end up with like some bubbles in your braids.
Oh yeah, like one's popping out, the other's in, then it looks like a weird knot, and then you instantly are frustrated, which is a whole nother part of it.
How important is your tension when you're braiding?
I mean, Heather, how's the tension? She's like, feels pretty important. I feel like it's 6. Okay, a 6, which I know Heather has like a tough head. So for most people, I think it's, if you want a tighter braid, you really have to pull the hair tight. I think where people are in general, the most sensitive is right where I am now. Mm-hmm. And this is where you need to, kind of warn people, be more careful. I think it's always nice just to like give people a heads up so they're not surprised if you are braiding other people's hair. Be like, oh, hey, just so you know, like if you're sensitive here, just give me a heads up, let me know. Because I've been in situations with clients where they're like, this hurts, and you feel like, oops.
Pain
Oops.
is pain.
Yeah, oops. So you definitely don't want to be in that situation.
What products do you suggest for locking in your styles, like taming flyaways, getting rid of frizz, that won't truly disrupt the smoothness of your braid already? Because you know, sometimes people like
Yeah.
dump products on there and you
Mhm.
end up creating more of a mess.
I love using Aquage's finishing spray. I think that's my favorite go-to. Also, their spray wax really works for me. It gives it a really nice finish without making it too sticky,
Mhm.
which I know the idea of spray wax is very sticky and that's the end of it. But this one's perfect and you can really get a lot done with it. And the way I would do it is like spray it on from farther away because you want the mist, and then you can just use your comb, kind of work bits in, and if you need to kind of clean up sections, or if it's a really tight one, like tighter than this, then you can use a toothbrush. I love the toothbrush. And then also if you want to lay down any baby hairs, you can do that.
Perfect.
Yeah. But all of Aquage's products I think are great for kind of any look that you're looking for, because they have their Algiplex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're getting to the end. This is the part where you're like, I'm done. I've done it. And this one, if you want to, like if you have any kind of looser pieces at the bottom, if you decide you want to use something like a little more transforming based or gel, this would be the area I would use gel for. But since I'm kind of doing this quickly, we skipped out a bit, but then you can go all the way down. You can stop wherever. I'm going to keep going because I'm already in it. I'm already committed. So here we are. All right. Okay. So there's that. Me using my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Every hairdresser does.
It's a tool.
It is. Another hack that you can do, if you have any looser pieces, what I like to do is I use a little finishing spray, hold it down, so you get it down, and then you can use a flat iron to just lock it in.
Mm-hmm.
So that one I think is a really nice trick, and you can get it really smooth, and it also like really seals it in. So, you know, all these products are heat activated, so that'll help it really lock in.
Perfect.
So that's a good little hack that I like.
All right. One braid down.
One braid down, and then we'll do like the final kind of loosen up sort of things afterwards. But yeah, you get the idea. Okay, cute. All right, now we're going to go to the other side. So this one is more intricate. It might take up a bit more time, but I really like this technique. It's really fun. It's different. And again, you'll have to follow along the tutorial. Even when I was learning, I was like, wait, show me again. So it's a fun one. This one, I am going to use detailing cream, but just a tiny bit. I really don't need that much product for this one. It's more about the technique because you don't want it to, we're going to loosen it up so you don't want it too locked in, if that makes sense. And you want it to still like feel like hair. Okay, I might actually have you hand me these. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do, and back to the cowlick question, is it's always good to kind of just smooth down the very front because that's, you know, that's what you're looking at when you look in the mirror.
Is there a specific type of hair type or client that you would suggest one braid over the other?
Not really. I think sometimes when it's really, really thick hair, a braid like this is better, and finer hair, this one, you can kind of like move it around more because you'll see we're really going to like pull it out. Gotcha. So finer hair, you can do a bit more with it.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to create one. This is one I have to talk to myself through, so bear with me, because as a hairstylist, everybody still is like, okay, wait, how do I do that one again? Okay, then we have that one. Now what we're gonna do is kind of the same sectioning.
How big would you say?
For this one, I think like an inch, inch and a half is totally good. If you want it looser and you want it bigger, then you can do that. Okay.
And are you securing right to the scalp, or are you kind of leaving a little?
I am securing right to the scalp. That's actually a really good question. Okay. Okay, so then you have these two. And what we're going to do is how do I do this again? I'm like, wait 1 second. It's like, it's basically, you're going to loop this section over, and then I need to clip this here. Okay, so then you took this top section, and we're going to go around, and then we're going to add it to here.
So basically, your comb is the MVP.
Oh my
braiding.
gosh, it totally is. Like, we need that fine-tooth comb for sure. Okay, so then, yes, the elastic part can be a bit tedious, but it does like make it a bit easier. Okay, so then we're gonna do this. Then this goes through, and we're going to leave this one up and then kind of continue down that way.
I am gonna cross so we can get here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're alternating.
Exactly. It's always like the start of the alternating, like literally back to what you were talking about with your braiding, that you're like, okay, now what? Okay, the talking to yourself that I think everybody needs to do. Okay, so we're trying to get kind of like as clean of sections as you really can. I should have clipped that section off. Let's try and get it to stay.
Would you add any additional products to this technique that you didn't use on the other side?
Yeah, I feel like it's honestly, it's just the difference of using the detailing cream versus the transforming paste. Because the transforming paste, like I said, is going to give you, like on this side, you have like a hold and a shine.
Mm-hmm.
And also on this side, I definitely wouldn't recommend using any silkening oil treatment, just because that means you're going to get a little bit of, you just don't want it too oily. You want to be able to move it.
Right.
So I think it's easy when you're working in small sections to overdo it at times. So you want to be careful not to do that. Okay, so do we kind of see where this is headed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Split it off. Okay, then we're going to clip this part off. We're going to work our way down.
So this braiding technique is definitely, well, I should ask your model, I guess. Is this technique
a little
a
gentler?
little more, yeah, like I was going to say a little looser
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Until it comes to the elastics.
Yeah, I told you. We were talking about that earlier. I'm like, it's all fun and games until there's an elastic pulling every like tiny hair on your head.
I mean, and you could totally snazz this look up with like different colored elastics and
I was
accessories.
thinking that like when I was pulling out elastics to do it, I was like, should I? I had like cute colored ones, but you know, whatever. I stuck with lame clear, but you know, you'll get the point that way. That's for sure. But yeah, I think you could do all kinds of different, like really fun looks with it.
Mm-hmm. You could put some tinsel in there.
Oh, tinsel. You could totally do tinsel. Okay. And again, sectioning off. And here we are, kind of down at the bottom.
Now, is this, I'm slightly jumping the gun, but is this a braid that you could do all the way down, or does it have an end point where you need
You
a
could
little
totally
bit of
do it
pony?
all the way down. Honestly, like doing it all the way down, I think it's cuter because you get that full effect. But if you get, you know, whatever, like overwhelmed by it, and this becomes a little tricky though, because then you're like, you're kind of doing this, and then you have to like loop it around. If that makes any sense, but you'll see. Okay, so you did that. I'm gonna just kind of keep doing this. And this is where you want to make sure your like spacing is the same. So you're gonna do that.
Do you have any tricks or advice for someone that finishes the braid and then they're like, oh my God, it's uneven somewhere like in the middle, or do you just, or is braiding something that you just have to start over?
I think you should always just kind of start over. Like, it's a bummer. I hate to give that answer, but it is kind of like a start it over. Okay, we're gonna clean that off, and then we're gonna get to the part where you're just kind of pulling it out and pulling the look all together. So for this, we're gonna use Beyond Shine. I like to do it in my fingertips. And what you're gonna do is you're really just going to, sorry, Heather.
It's okay.
Don't kill me. And you're just like pulling this out. And then that's where you get that look. But sometimes you do have to like move down the, you know, move the elastics around, do your thing. But it starts to, you know, really make sense because we're like, where is this going? But then you can get it after that. Down here, if you like, for example, I feel like I could have made bigger sectioning based off her hair and like, you know, what's going on. But at the bottom, however, you don't have to start over down here. You can just like loosen it up and move that. Here, you're stuck.
Yeah.
So loosening it up is, you know, the key to the look. Obviously, you can loosen it all the way up like this, but you are still going to see the elastics. That's definitely going to be a factor in this. So just so you're aware. But yeah, then you kind of just make it into a little, it's a little crossover braid.
That's cute.
It's cute. They're very, very, very different.
Yeah.
So there is that part of it that like, it depends on what you're looking for. You just saw what's happening. But it really depends on like what you're into and what you're looking for. Like this, like we were talking about when we were saying clear, or you could do butterfly clips or colored elastics. You know, you could do things to really make this super, super, super fun. But this one is more of your traditional, we've seen it, we love it, it works, you know what you're signing up for. And this one also, if you wanted to keep it a little tamer and not as wild, but for effect, you know, now you see what it looks like if you go all the way.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's kind of everything. And all of it we can use with, I mean, Aquaja's products. Let's also talk about their rebrand because it's beautiful. And I helped them with it. So I'm really excited about it. And it's still performance with purpose. And we love that.
Awesome.
Okay. So there we go. They're like totally different.
Awesome. We're going to take some after pictures. Thank you so much for hanging with us. And we will see you guys later.
Thank you.